breaking news. P. Diddy has a teen babysitter claims that he awed her. This is a new lawsuit that's going up. We're going to analyze this. We got Jesse Weber here with us tonight. Sit back, enjoy the show. Make sure you subscribe to my daughter's YouTube channel at Unique Mecca Audio. Subscribe at Unique Mecca Audio. Subscribe at Mecca Audio TV and Unique Mecca Audio Prison Stories. That's where the prison stories will go because we do a lot of riding over here. So don't say I didn't tell you. Let's keep it moving. And the QR code work. Cop my man Lou Sims' book on the screen. All right. You know what it is, Unique Mecca Audio, man. I'm here. We talking about P. Diddy got a teen babysitter, claims that he awed her. We're going to get right to it. We're going to get Jesse Weber to break it down. Make sure you put in the comments what you think it is. And remember, again, subscribe to my daughter's YouTube channel, Unique Mecca Audio and Mecca Audio TV, and all the ones I named at the beginning. All right.
So now it's time to talk about this new lawsuit, and we have an anonymous woman who would be in her 40s right now who says that she was just a high schooler working to make a little extra money as a babysitter when she was targeted by Sean Diddy Combs. Now, she, of course, is not the first and likely not the last to file a lawsuit against the music and entertainment mogul, right? As you know, Combs currently locked up in the Metropolitan Detention Center out in Brooklyn, New York, awaiting trial on federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Right now, his trial is scheduled to begin on May 5th, 2025. When you think about that, that is just right around the corner. We'll see if that date sticks, but I'll tell you what, we'll actually get a little bit more into the details about that trial timeline in just a minute. But first, I want to talk about this latest lawsuit. So it was filed in New York State Court on Monday. It is a state case, not a federal case. The named defendants are Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, Bad Boy Entertainment Holding, Inc., doing business as Bad Boy Records, Combs Enterprises, LLC, and John Doe 1 and John Doe 2. By the way, I have to say, it's always interesting talking about Sean Combs' affiliated companies in these lawsuits because we can't forget that prosecutors in the Southern District of New York say that Combs was using the employees, the resources, and the influence of his multifaceted business empire to further a criminal enterprise. That is the main allegation in the indictment that he's currently facing. According to the indictment that was handed down by a grand jury back in September, quote, the defendant operated his business, headquartered at various times in Manhattan and Los Angeles, under a variety of United States-based corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global, collectively the Combs businesses. Corporate entities in the Combs businesses included, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. And later on in the indictment, the government alleges members and associates of the Combs enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The defendant and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprises affairs. These individuals included certain Combs business employees, such as members of Combs security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs.
Now, that's a bunch of crap. We're going to get right to the point. That's a bunch of crap. Now, they sat there, not one name is listed, not one act to further it is listed. When you have a RICO, you have to have 5 or more people that you controlled, not 5 or more positions at your corporation because they want to take your corporation. They keep listing all the Diddy's businesses because this is what it is. This is called a money grab. That's all it is. Let's get to the point. Let's not play no games. Everybody's showing Sean Diddy Combs and Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Incorporated and Diddy's house and da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da, because they going after the bag. That's what happens when you get the bag and you get there and you bite the hand that feeds you. The liquor company, let's ride. The liquor company allowed Diddy, a black man in America, to make $1 billion. And then Diddy felt the need to go up against the very hand that fed him to try and show that he should be treated equally when they're on some time that you're just a black man. You get what we give you. We gave you 1,000 times more than the average black man. And you're still not satisfied after we took you from chains? We saved you when we came to Africa, is what they're saying. We saved you when we brought you to this land. We saved you when we allowed to give you the right to vote. We saved your women when we allowed your women to have the right to vote. And now I allow you to make $1 billion at one of our liquor companies that's in 98 countries in the world being sold. And you, as a black man, that your ancestors came from Africa off the same slave block to Harlem, to Mount Vernon, to you going to college, getting an education. And that shows the prime reason why they never wanted us to learn to read and write. That's why you need, for all of y'all youngins and elders that's watching this, to learn as much as you can. And if you don't know how to read, learn to read. I didn't know how to read, just keeping it 100, but I knew my math. But that didn't make it right. That hindered me from going even higher than where I went. So they gave Diddy an education at Howard and then took him to become a billionaire. And now the same people that took him to become a billionaire, Diddy goes and sues them and wins. And they said, oh, no, we've been keeping all your dirty secrets hidden. And now you want to stand up against us? Let me open my hand up, and show the world what you really been doing. And blew it out like a magician, and everybody's saying, whoa, and they don't even know what he did. All they know is that he violated the young lady, Cassie, to the utmost. And from that, everything else that's said must be true. Let's get back to this video.
Now, to be clear, Combs has always maintained his innocence. He has entered a not guilty plea in federal court, reportedly told his attorneys that he can't wait to fight the allegations in court. That might be one of the reasons why they have been pushing for a trial that is, less than a year after he was arrested. You don't usually see that in a criminal case.
That's bull crap. That's bull crap. In my criminal case, because we ride, in my criminal case, so you understand, right? In my criminal case, I asked for a speedy trial, and the reason why I asked for a speedy trial, and the reason why you ask for a speedy trial is you don't want to give them forever to put together a case, especially while you locked up. But the more time they have, the more witnesses going to come out the woodwork, the more lying witnesses is going to come out the woodwork that didn't even have nothing to do with the case. So you force their hand. Whatever you took to the grand jury, bring it forward. Let's go now. I'm not going to give you time for more. Now, if they would have granted Diddy bail, that would have been the smart thing to do if they had a real case. If they had a real case, they would have granted Diddy bail and let him go, let him do a party, let him get comfortable, let him think he's free. And then from all of that, you understand what I'm saying? Then they pull him in, 4 years he would have waited to go to trial. But now he's forcing their hand for 6 months. So in order for them to get out of that, they have to drop a new superseding indictment. And I predict they will drop a new superseding indictment. I hope they don't, because if they take him to trial on that indictment, he gonna walk. But that indictment was just put out there to hold them while they gather more evidence, distract the election, and at the same time, have the people vilify him. And what you're watching now is what they call a public lynching in 2025. It's no more trees and rope around it. They use social media to lynch you right now. Diddy has just been lynched.
And while Combs had previously settled that bombshell lawsuit that was filed against him by Cassandra Ventura, the one that really got the ball rolling on all of these legal actions against him, he has never been found liable for any misconduct in any of these lawsuits. I want to be clear about that. And he and his attorneys, have adamantly denied claims of sexual assault in all of these lawsuits. By the way, totally off topic here, but I got to tell you something that I am very, very excited about. I have been
All right, so that's what it is. That's Jesse Weber. He talking about what he's excited about. And, you know, we got different scenes, but right now, this is where they got Diddy. And that's what we're trying to, you know, prevent, because I don't believe that any black man is supposed to be locked up in anybody prison like that. So let's stop the games and let's keep this thing moving, you know? But I want y'all to watch the rest of this video with me so that you could understand how this thing is playing out, because I'm giving y'all a lot of jewels in here. All right.
Well, okay, it looks like it's a payday. She's just trying to jump in with all the other lawsuits that are being filed against Sean Combs. The other way of looking at it is, he was Sean Combs, right? If these allegations are true and you were scared about coming forward, and particularly if you were a minor when this happened, did you really think he was untouchable? You can't really go after him. But when you see the multitude of lawsuits that are being filed against him and that he's currently behind bars, he's not out on bail, they may feel safe to come forward with their claims now. But nonetheless, he still has to prove that this happened, just a winner case. And let's talk about that, because Jane Doe is suing for violation of New York's Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. We've talked about this many times here on Sidebar. This created a look-back window for victims to come forward and file claims, even if the statute of limitations would have normally run out, and that their claims would have been time-barred. And that's where laws like the Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act comes in, because as of March 1st, 2023, victims could pursue civil claims for past offenses no matter when they happen. That look-back window closes pretty soon, though. It's set to expire in March of 2025. Now, in her complaint, Jane Doe's attorneys write that, quote, "The conduct of defendants, including but not limited to Combs' physical and sexual assaults of plaintiff in New York City, constitutes a crime of violence, and a crime of violence motivated by gender." So in other words, it's done through some animus because she's a woman. And a crime of violence motivated by gender against the plaintiff, as defined by the New York City Gender Motivated Violence Act. In other words, you have to say that this act was motivated because of some sort of animus because she was a female. Now, it says the acts of the co-defendants fall clearly into prescribed behavior by either committing, directing, enabling a conspiracy in the commission of the offending behavior. According to the complaint, Jane Doe grew up in Lower Manhattan. She was 16 years old, living with her father and stepmother when she started working part-time as a babysitter in a building around the corner. Again, this is back in 2000. One of the women who lived in that building is described in this complaint as, quote, "a well-known woman with whom the defendant was in a relationship." Now, Combs had started his meteoric rise to the top of the hip-hop world during the 90s, was a very well-known name at this point, especially in New York City. And the complaint reads, on or about in between late August or early September 2000, when she was 16 years old, just before school started, plaintiff was working as a babysitter in the building where Combs' romantic partner lived. As she left the babysitting job and was exiting the building, the plaintiff came upon Combs, who was in the presence of two male individuals who apparently worked for him. Combs was sitting in a car with the door open. Combs engaged her in conversation, asking where she was going so late at night, and that it was not safe for her to be walking alone. She advised Combs that she lived around the corner, was familiar with the neighborhood, and would be fine. Combs offered a ride home several times, which she continued to refuse. After much cajoling by Combs, she agreed and got into his car. Getting into Combs' car that day was something plaintiff would come to regret forever.
Now, what do y'all think about this story so far? Put it in the comments, because I'm going to really blow your mind when I break this down, but I want y'all to pay attention to what Jesse Weber is saying.
During the ride, plaintiff became scared when they did not drop her off at home as promised. The defendant gave her a drink to, quote, calm her down. She soon became groggy and unsteady. Combs and his staff, the two male co-defendants, proceeded to a location where she was sexually assaulted by Combs. Now, this is something that...
Now, that one, I don't know if that's a Tony Busby case, because that one sounds, That one sounds like that was a beautiful storyline. That wasn't one of those, my father came to pick me up and, dude said he lived 5 hours away and she never told him this and never heard nothing about this. That ain't one of those that there was a rock star there that was performing in a whole nother state. That sounded pretty cut and dry. Let's listen to how this one play out. But they are going to come out to woodwork.
That has been alleged time and time again against Sean Combs, that he or his associates would use tainted drinks to make the victims compliant. In multiple lawsuits against Combs, alleged victims claim that they had a drink at a party or an audition before starting to feel woozy or sleepy, and these victims say they don't know exactly what happened to them after that, but they allege, many of them, that they would regain consciousness and they would find Sean Combs sexually assaulting them. Okay? And while a few victims say they were able to fight back, many others say they couldn't control their bodies enough to try to get away.
Do y'all believe this? It's just a question, not giving my opinion, just asking, do y'all believe this?
Back to Jane Doe. She says when Combs was through with her, they dropped her off. The complaint states she was eventually taken home and left in the lobby of her building by the same driver, John Doe 1 and or John Doe 2, who was present when she was picked up. By the way, one of the reasons that these people might be listed as John Doe 1 and John Doe 2 is because she might not know who these people's names are, but during the course of this litigation, during the course of discovery, those names will be known to her and they might.
And that's why Diddy asked for a speedy trial, so that they don't have enough time to put together getting people to corroborate what they went to the grand jury on. So that's why they said in time, it'll probably come out. That's from the different people they investigate, the different testimonies that go on during the case. That's how it comes out over time, and that's why you ask for a speedy trial. So I don't agree with that, Jesse Weber. Like nobody asks for a speedy trial. Any man that's in prison asks for a speedy trial because that's the quickest way to get out of prison. But you let him out of prison, then now you could drag it out because he's free, take your time, and build a real case. But they don't want Diddy out, so Diddy's forcing their hand. So only way for them to win this case is to come back with a superseding indictment and list names. So be on the lookout for that because May is approaching.
Might be named as defendants in this case. Now, this is another allegation, though, that has been repeated in both state and federal civil lawsuits, that Combs' associates not only knew what was going on, but they helped him drug his victims, that they stood by as these people were assaulted, that they did nothing to stop it.
So what they're going to do now is they're going to grab his associates. They're going to tell them that we could put you on an indictment unless you say this and give them a script. And that's where this goes and how a federal trial gets railroaded.
For example, the lawsuit that was filed against Combs by Texas attorney Tony Busby that also names music industry titan Jay-Z, that asserts that a 13-year-old girl was able to escape a New York home where Combs was throwing a party in 2000 after she claimed she was raped by these two men. Well, she also claims that a female celebrity who's not been identified was in the room watching these assaults happen. Her complaint also claims that she ran out of that home naked, past other party guests who seemingly didn't react to a nude teenager fleeing the scene. That's why there's so many conversations about who's on this Diddy list, who else is going to be named, who else is going to be implicated, that if all of these allegations are true against Sean Combs, no one saw anything? No one was complicit in this? But comparing this again to another lawsuit, we have another man who claims that he was just 10 years old when he traveled with his parents to New York to audition for Sean Combs, but his parents didn't accompany him to his meeting with the rapper at a Manhattan hotel, he claims, and John Doe says that Combs wanted to see his singing and dancing abilities. Other people were reportedly in the room too. The boy didn't know who they were. According to his complaint, he filed a lawsuit against Sean Combs, also filed by Tony Busby. Quote, plaintiff performed several rap songs for Combs. Combs complimented plaintiff on his rapping and told plaintiff that he could make him a star. Combs asked plaintiff how badly he wanted to be a star and what plaintiff would do to get to be one. Plaintiff responded, as might any 10-year-old child, that he would do anything. And John Doe says after he said that, one of the other people in the room, an associate of Sean Combs, gave this boy a soda, made him feel funny. Eventually, he claims Combs then forced him to perform oral sex on him, and he eventually lost consciousness. And the lawsuit says he was in a significant amount of pain when he woke up and that Combs threatened that if he told anyone, including his parents, what happened, he would hurt them.
they making Diddy sound like a real monster. Do y'all believe this? It's just a question. Y'all put in the comments.
So going back now to the Babysitter's lawsuit against the rapper, it reads, given the extensive media coverage of Combs' abusive treatment of women, defendants Bad Boy Entertainment Holding, Inc. and Combs Enterprises, LLC had knowledge and were put on notice of the sexual abuse allegations made against them. So that's a way to get them on the hook for this. That's the way that you're trying to make these companies liable. Now, I'm unsure if that's actually going to work, if it's going to be sufficient, because usually you hold a company liable if the employee or owner was acting within the scope of his employment or was using company resources to commit the offense. You know, they say enabling his behavior, maybe, might work. But I also have to say, yes, this lawsuit, if you read it, is quite bare bones, right? There's not a lot of corroborating information there. Her account, though, is very similar to other lawsuits that we've seen that is based, again, primarily on the alleged victim's account. You know, it doesn't list out all of the pieces of evidence, and you don't have to. It's a lower standard to merely file a complaint. You just need to make statements that are sufficiently particular, that make clear what the claims are. They provide the parties notice of what is being alleged, what the elements of the claims are. But I will say, this allegedly happening back in 2000, you may not have all the documentary evidence that you would have in another case, right? The text messages, emails, photos, videos. It may exist during the course of discovery and during the course of this litigation, but it may not. We'll see if there's enough evidence to actually support the claims. But Combs' legal team responded to this latest lawsuit in a statement to People magazine saying, no matter how many lawsuits are filed, it won't change the fact that Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted or sex trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. We live in a world where anyone can file a lawsuit for any reason. Fortunately, a fair and impartial judicial process exists to find the truth, and Mr. Combs is confident he will prevail in court. Now, he's certainly right. Anybody can file a lawsuit. Doesn't mean that there wouldn't be consequences of filing a frivolous lawsuit. But you have to imagine, with all of these claims, everybody's a liar? Everybody's not telling the truth? Something to think about. Now, Jane Doe is requesting a trial by jury, seeking a judgment against the defendants, quote, in a sum to be determined at a trial of this action, and any further relief that the court deems is proper. But now we want to quickly turn to that federal case. And as I mentioned before, we want to give you a quick update on the timeline for Combs' federal trial in the Southern District of New York. So the prosecution and the defense, they most recently debated pre-trial deadlines in a joint letter to Judge Arun Subramanian. To give you the gist, the prosecution argued that the May 5th trial date is approaching very, very quickly, that they may not be able to get everything done that they're entitled to before the trial gets underway. In the letter, the prosecution stated, while the defendant is fully entitled to request a speedy trial, that does not mean that he's entitled to demand disclosure deadlines appropriate in cases with significantly longer timelines. Accordingly, the government objects to any schedule, including that proposed by the defendant, requiring the government to make trial disclosures before the filing and or resolution of pretrial motions. Bottom line, there's a lot of things that need to be worked out in this case, particularly by the court. We shouldn't have to, at this point, disclose more information about our case. It's too premature. The defense, though, took a different position, saying the government needs to disclose information as soon as possible. The defense objects to a modification of the existing pretrial schedule, which has been set for months. Defense counsel have planned around the existing schedule and are not in a position to file pretrial motions in just 4 weeks and only 1 month after the close of discovery, which included thousands of pages of search warrant affidavits. By the way, we did a whole sidebar on this. We broke down the different pretrial motions that we expect over the next several weeks, and I encourage everybody, if you're interested in this, to go check it out on our Law and Crime YouTube page. But here's what the judge decided will be the schedule moving forward. And this is important. On February 1st, the enterprise letter is due. Now, this is big because that letter filed by the prosecution should be laying out the specific acts and conduct that it says proves the racketeering conspiracy count, the main charge in this indictment.
You see what I'm saying? I've never heard of nothing where they had to write out an enterprise letter. All that normally laid out in the indictment. So in other words, February 1st, by then, we're going to have new prosecutors in. Donald Trump will be in. They're getting rid of all those prosecutors. They're going to bring in new prosecutors that's going to look over what the old prosecutors are doing because Donald Trump feels like New York needs an overhaul, you know? So the new prosecutors may come in, look at Diddy's case, and say, nah, this is bullcrap. You know what I mean? This is not a proper indictment. And they can say, we're not going to prosecute. Because they're going to relook at all the cases that's there and see, not just Diddy's, all the cases that's there to see what they want to prosecute and don't prosecute, or what they felt was malicious. Malicious means like you're just being vindictive. You know what I mean? They call that malicious prosecution. So February 1st, then they're going to lay out the acts. When they lay out the acts, they're going to have to put the names. I've never seen an indictment that they hide the names of the people that's involved on the indictment. So that's why I know they have to come with a new superseding indictment, because they have to put the names in it so he know who his accusers are. Right now, he don't know any of his accusers, and they even hiding Cassie's name, but they doing that to try and say that they don't want him to know because he might harm the witnesses. So that's what they're doing, like they're protecting the witnesses' identities and so on and so on. Let's finish this up.
That allegedly shows Combs and his associates were acting as one criminal enterprise. The defense says they need to know how to properly defend their client. They need more details. So when this enterprise letter is filed, I think it might give all of us a little bit more clarity on the prosecution's case. Maybe we'll even do a sidebar on that when it comes out. But I mean, according to a filing, it says the enterprise letter will also give the defense notice of the specific objects of the charged racketeering conspiracy, including, to the extent possible, the dates, times, places, and participants for each racketeering act. So
you heard that? Participants. Right now, we don't even know who was working in what capacity at these different Combs Enterprises and Bad Boy Entertainment and all of this. All we know is positions, but he had many different people in the same positions, title. So therefore, they're gonna have to tell them who is the people that did this, because you got to put a man on notice, because you have a right to confront your accuser.
That's due February 1st. Keep an eye out for that. Then, on February 17th, both sides need to have their pretrial motions filed. 2 weeks after that, opposition filings are due. Replies to those filings are due 1 week later, March 10th. And then when it comes to jury selection, which will likely be a massive undertaking given Sean Combs' worldwide celebrity and how much coverage there has been of this case, the proposed jury questionnaire forms are due April 11th, according to the judge's schedule. That is essentially the first step in this process, the forms that are sent out to prospective jurors to gauge their eligibility for jury service. But that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
All right, so that's where we at. Jesse Weber, thank you. Round of applause. Round of applause. Thank you. All right, relax. That's what I'm saying. This charge is really, like they said, to the point. And that looks way better than all the other extras they be adding in it, because I can't say nothing about that. That sounds really simple and something that could have logically happened. Not someone saying that their father picked them up and, you know what I mean, and they right around the corner, they went to a big mansion around the corner from Radio City when there is no mansions around, unless he went to Gracie Manor. Who was the mayor then? Could Diddy have had a party at Gracie Manor with the mayor that was in charge at the time back in 2000 when they had it, when they said that incident took place? Somebody put in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to my daughter's YouTube channel, Unique Mecca Audio. Subscribe to Unique Mecca Audio Prison Story. Subscribe to Unique Mecca Audio and Mecca Audio TV. Make sure you hit the notification bell when you sign up for these channels. Let's do the outro. Let's keep it moving, because this is how we do it, the Mecca. All right?
Cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime. Fresh out the can of 20
26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in hall. Cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. Did not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio.